Next on the news.
People tell me about their fear of using the system, and we're going to ensure that fear is not New York's reality.
Violence underground. The mayor unveiling a new plan aimed at making the city's subways safer. Plus, one of New York's bravest continues to serve his community even in death, becoming an organ donor in a final selfless act. Then the Diocese of Brooklyn Synod gatherings go digital. Bishop Robert Brennan is here to talk about how the church plans to evolve based on parishioner feedback. And he's the Archdiocese of New York's newest bishop-elect and the youngest ever in the country. How he's using his music to reach a younger generation of Catholics. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now.
We are not going to wait until someone shoves a person onto the tracks. We're being proactive.
Mayor Eric Adams announcing a new plan to combat a wave of violence happening underground, sending teams of cops and outreach workers into New York's vast subway system to convince the homeless and the mentally ill to get help. The mayor going on to say that the problems underground spill out onto the city streets, and that appears to be just what happened earlier in the week. A homeless man is now being held without bail, accused of brutally murdering a woman in her Chinatown apartment. And while it's unclear if the attack was a hate crime, fighting anti-Asian bias was a cause the victim was involved in. The heinous crime has Asian Americans in the city once again on high alert.
We talked about how we're together on keeping our city safe.
Mayor Eric Adams traveled to Albany Monday to plead with lawmakers to help him fight the violence plaguing the city. But it seems his calls to roll back the state's bail reform law are falling on deaf ears. This just a day after the brutal murder of a Manhattan woman, allegedly at the hands of a homeless man who was free on supervised release.
It's happening every time you turn around. The news is showing yet another victim, and it's hard to catch a breath.
35-year-old Christina Yuna Lee was stabbed more than 40 times after being followed into her Chinatown apartment early Sunday. While it's unclear whether Lee's race or ethnicity played a role in the attack, the killing conjures fear, all too common for Asian Americans and women everywhere.
The guard is up all the time, and it's been for a while.
It could have been me. It could have been anybody in the building.
Prosecutors say when police responded, the alleged killer was inside the apartment, speaking to cops through the closed door, pretending to be a woman and telling them to go away. It took over an hour to get into the apartment. By that time, Lee was dead. Investigators say her 25-year-old Asamad Nash was found hiding under the bed.
You didn't kill her because she was Asian?
I didn't kill nobody.
Despite a long history of arrests, including one for a violent attack, in a criminal mischief and unlawful escape case in January, bail wasn't set, so Nash was back on the streets. City Council member Julie Wan says the rise and intensity of crimes against Asians come as little surprise. She blames an increase in homelessness, a strain on mental health services, and China being blamed for the pandemic.
There's a vulnerability there and a sense of perceived weakness towards Asian American women and Asian American seniors that perpetrators tend to be pulled towards because we're seen as easy prey.
Nash has been arrested 7 times in the past 7 years, including an arrest for attacking a man in a Chinatown subway station last September. According to Mayor Adams, the NYPD will begin canvassing New York City subways next week. Cops will be charged with preventing the homeless from riding the rails all night and doing illegal activities such as smoking and living in the trains. Cross-agency response teams will connect those in crisis with housing and support. The FDNY giving a final salute to one of their fallen, the hero, continuing to make New York's bravest proud even after his service has ended. 33-year-old firefighter Jesse Gerhard died Wednesday night after suffering a medical episode at his firehouse. The day before, he battled a fire in Far Rockaway. Current News' Jessica Easthope reports he died doing what he loved, keeping the people of New York safe.
No, that's white smoke is still thick.
This was the last fire Jesse Gerhard got to fight, and now New York City will be getting ready for a funeral for another first responder. On Thursday, Mayor Eric Adams and Acting Fire Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh announced the death of the 33-year-old firefighter, a 7-year veteran of the department.
The entire city mourns for the loss of this firefighter, a young man that dreamed to be a firefighter all his life.
Late Wednesday night, Gerhard suffered a medical episode at his firehouse, Ladder Company 134 in Far Rockaway. He was transported to St. John's Episcopal Hospital, where he was pronounced dead.
He is exactly what we would want an FDNY member to be. He had dreamed his whole life as becoming a member of the FDNY, and he had achieved that dream, responding every day to help New Yorkers in need.
And that's exactly what Gerhard was doing the day before his death, responding to a 2-alarm fire in Far Rockaway. Gerhard's job described as the most strenuous position in the FDNY. He was tasked with forcing entry to the home and searching for victims. Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello, who was sworn in as an FDNY chaplain earlier this week, said Gerhard's family is in shock and will be relying on their faith for comfort.
Now we have to give him that send-off that he deserves, for putting his life on the line.
Diocese of Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan putting a call out on social media for prayers for Gerhard, his family, and the FDNY. During his time with the department, Gerhard was honored for his bravery.
And from the moment he got it, it could not have loved anything more than doing that job.
Gerhard was the 1,156th member of the FDNY to die in the line of duty. Wake and funeral arrangements have not yet been announced. He's survived by his parents, brother, and sister-in-law. Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Jesse Gerhard's life and sacrifice lives on, even in death. Sources confirm Gerhard was an organ donor. His body transferred to NYU Thursday evening so he can continue to give to others. Those who knew him describe as funny and full of energy and say he was a skilled carpenter, a rescue scuba diver, and a snowboarder. His parents are Catholic parishioners of the Church of St. Mary in East Islip. His father is now saying Gerhard had wanted to be a firefighter since the age of 2 after he saw his great-grandfather's captain helmet. He was appointed to the FDNY as an EMT in July of 2014. Gerhard entered the Fire Academy in December of 2017 and graduated in April of 2018. The Biden administration is looking to reverse a Trump-era rule that denied permanent residence to immigrants who receive certain public benefits. The proposed change centers on a law that prevents people from receiving green cards and certain visas if they are or might be dependent on the government. The Department of Homeland Security stopped enforcing the limits back in March. The move will act as a formality to protect the measure from legal challenges. Eastern European governments are bracing for a potential refugee crisis if Russia invades Ukraine, as shelling between Ukraine and Russian-backed separatists in the eastern part of the country escalates. Apart from the humanitarian fallout, officials expect Russia and its partners will try to exploit any major migration for political purposes. Already, some Ukrainians are fleeing their homes in the capital, Kyiv, heading west. And it's not just citizens making the move. The U.S. Embassy has also transferred their operations to the western part of the country. As Ukrainians look to protect their families, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops is asking the faithful to do their part. This year, the USCCB has announced plans for an Ash Wednesday collection that will help people fleeing the region. Most dioceses take the annual collection in their parishes. Ash Wednesday is on March 2nd this year. And as the Easter season approaches, a tradition returns at the Vatican. Pope Francis will once again celebrate Ash Wednesday at the Basilica of Santa Sabina in Rome. The ceremony will begin with a procession at the Basilica of St. Anselm and will end on Aventine Hill, where the Basilica of Santa Sabina sits. The last time the Pope was seen making the procession was in February of 2020. He celebrated the Mass at St. Peter's Basilica last year due to the pandemic. And there was a little odd news coming from outside the Vatican. A commotion happening in St. Peter's Square Tuesday morning that got the attention of tourists. A cat stuck on a ledge for more than 2 hours. The Vatican's bravest were called in, but the frightened feline was determined to outwit them. Justin McClellan is in Rome and has the scoop for us. Justin.
Well, Christine, the Vatican's fire department has existed since 1820, but they say they've never seen anything like this. A cat climbing around the top of this iconic colonnade, which surrounds St. Peter's Square. On what seemed like an ordinary day at the Vatican, tourists began to gather by the columns in St. Peter's Square as something grabbed their attention. It was this cat, trapped along the ledge of Bernini's colonnade, some 52 feet high. The Vatican Fire Brigade came onto the scene to launch a fully fledged rescue operation. Using cranes, they approached the ledge to get closer to the cat. They tried to keep it calm, and this firefighter missed a chance to catch it. It quickly became clear that this would not be an easy rescue. The cat then began wandering freely along the ledge overlooking St. Peter's Square. As the firefighters regrouped, many tourists passed by to see what all the commotion was about. It's a bit surprising to see a cat on a ledge and not know where it entered or how it will come out. To me, it's very curious. I've had cats and I don't know if they have 9 lives, but at least 2 or 3. The firefighters tried to catch the cat once again, this time with 2 cranes and a cardboard box. You could see that he was scared, but they did everything to get that poor cat down. They brought 2 cranes, a bunch of policemen, and in the end it was what I had predicted, that when they went up there, the cat ran away. The cat ran and didn't let them catch him. After nearly 2 hours, the cat jumped from the ledge and landed safely on the ground before being retrieved by firefighters. It may continue to wander around Rome's other tourist attractions, but it surely won't find a more scenic home than overlooking the Vatican. Well, we're not sure where the cat came from or how exactly it got up there, but eyewitnesses say it appeared unharmed after it jumped from the top of the 52-foot colonnade. Just another example of why they say cats have 9 lives. In St. Peter's Square, Justin McClellan, Currents News.
Gotta love it. There's a lot more news headed your way. The Global Synod process has officially kicked off, and the Diocese of Brooklyn is reaching out to the faithful in a unique way. Plus, meet Father Jay, the Bronx City kid who loves to rap, is set to become the youngest bishop in the country. And it's a return to a Disney classic. Catholic school students in the Diocese of Brooklyn celebrate their 101st day of school. Parishioners are being asked to speak up about what they want for the future of the church. It's part of a synod process started by Pope Francis that hopes to reach lay Catholics around the world. In the Diocese of Brooklyn, reaching everyone means meeting them where they are, and for some, that's online. Here's Jessica Easthope once again with how the diocese plans to do just that.
Very important themes of journeying and being companions together.
They're questions designed to bring about change. Some the church has never asked before. Who do you think is in charge? How can the church work better with other communities of faith? And now they're in digital form.
They're going to be asked basic questions that would be asked of any Catholic right now who wants to have a voice.
As the Global Synod process has gotten underway and parishes have started listening sessions, leaders in the Diocese of Brooklyn are realizing the people they need to reach most are not the regulars.
Do not let ignorance.
Sister Marianne Seton LaPiccolo, who's leading the diocese's synod efforts with Father Joseph Gibino, says often they're people who have never come to church and might even feel unwelcome.
We want to hear from the people who don't come to the building called the church. We want to hear from people who don't feel welcome. And really, those are the voices that are going to change us.
That's why the diocese is meeting people where they are. The Sales Media Group, the digital and technology arm of the Diocese of Brooklyn that operates Net TV, has created a digital synod. It starts with videos explaining the topics of the synod, hoping to make people feel like their voices matter, and puts the questions posed during parish listening sessions into an online survey.
How is it that we can be a more welcoming, if you will, a more listening church? So we're trying to use technology to help us listen.
Anyone with an Android, iPhone, laptop, or internet connection can scan a QR code or follow a link and participate. A motivation for the digital synod has been the need to reach young people.
Their world is a digital world. You know, everything is online, and everyone will have access to it.
People can complete the 10-topic survey all at once or in parts and save their answers. The digital synod is launching on February 27th in time for Lent. Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
We're about halfway through the Synod process in the Diocese of Brooklyn, and Bishop Robert Brennan has been involved right from the start, visiting parishes to take part in the listening sessions several times a week. Bishop Brennan joined us on Currents News to walk us through one of those meetings.
So I begin actually meeting with the priest for about an hour, and that goes into dinner. And they just tell me about the parishes, describe the parishes, a little of the history, and they raise some of the different issues that parishes face. And then we ask the delegates, each parish sent 2 delegates. They all had the Synod process already, the listening session at their parish. So the people who were there as delegates had first to listen and now to share.
Okay, so the tablet and Currents News have had continuing coverage on the sessions, and we found there are a couple of issues on the minds of everyone. Let's take a look at the 3 biggest takeaways, a sort of wish list for parishioners. They want more outreach and faith formation to the youth, more outreach to families, and they want the church to focus more on diverse populations, particularly the Hispanic community. So what do we do with this information now? Isn't it a bit overwhelming?
Not really. It's the ordinary operation of the church that we try to do these things. Concern for the youth comes across all the time. That's a great thing. People are concerned, especially about the fact that we've lost or are losing a great number of young people. In terms of reaching out for diverse populations, it's really broader than the Hispanic population. Being here in Brooklyn, my eyes are open. I'm learning so many others, whether it be the Haitian community, the different Asian communities, the different African communities. And one of the things that comes up a lot is communication between the communities, communication between the diocese and the parish, community transparency, understanding. So one of the big concerns really is, how do we pull it all together and be one united family in Jesus Christ?
Absolutely, and it seems everyone wants the priests to be more pastoral, but how can they find the time to do this between caring for the upkeep of the church, its finances, looking over some Catholic academies, daily mass, marriages, baptisms, funerals? It seems there aren't enough hours in the day.
Well, that's always going to be a challenge for us, isn't it? And thank God we have dedicated priests who they see many of these opportunities as pastoral opportunities, and they really do prioritize the pastoral community. So we have to look at how we're structured as a church, and what does it mean to be Catholic today?
Right, and now the diocese wants to reach even more people than those voluntarily coming to the listening sessions. So they're now launching a digital synod. We recently caught up with Sister Mary Ann LaPiccolo, who's helping Father Joseph Gibino, the vicar for evangelization and catechesis, lead that charge. Let's listen to what she had to say.
We want to hear from people who don't feel welcome. And really, those are the voices that are going to change us.
Bishop, why is it so important to reach out to these people who seemingly don't want to be part of the church?
Well, a very simple answer is because Pope Francis asked us to. But on a more serious note, it's because it's the work of Jesus Christ. Isn't that what Jesus himself did? He went out to find people where they were and to bring them in. Pope Francis says this a lot. Pope John Paul used to say, open wide the doors to Christ, let in the breath of the Holy Spirit. Now Francis says, open wide the doors and go on and move out there, bring the message of the gospel out to where people are living.
It's great to hear that. Let's talk about the next steps quickly. All this feedback will be compiled into a comprehensive report that the Diocese Synod team will have ready for you in May. From there, it's submitted to the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops in June. So things are about to start moving very fast. What do you think the Pope's response will be to the reports from the United States compared to other places?
That's going to be hard to tell because he's going to be responding on behalf of the whole world. And the challenges in the world are much broader. And so it'll be interesting to see where it all goes. Pope Francis seems to put the emphasis on the process more than the product. And so what he really wants is that this continues to be a dialogue, a conversation, that we're walking together, listening to one another, and bringing Jesus Christ to one another.
Again, that was Bishop Robert Brennan. And for more information on how you can take part in that digital synod, register online at dioceseofbrooklyn.org/synod survey. It launches on February 27th, just in time for Lent. And remember, these results will be sent to the Vatican. It's a chance for Pope Francis to hear your voice. You can see more of my interview with Bishop Brennan on our website, currentsny.tv. One of the key takeaways from the synod process, youth outreach, is also the top priority of the man who will soon be the country's youngest bishop. Father Joseph Espaillat, or Father J as he's called, has been named an auxiliary bishop for the Archdiocese of New York by Pope Francis. But the bishop-elect already wears many hats. He's also a rapper and the host of a podcast. I asked him how important technology is for evangelization.
It's critical for us to reach the masses right now. It's critical for us to reach the young people, to evangelize in new ways. The new evangelization must involve technology, must involve social media in some way, shape, or form. And it is a way for us to do it. And during the pandemic, if we're really honest, a lot of priests went online, priests who said, "Oh, I'll never do that." And guess what? You had to transmit the Mass online to reach God's people who could not be in churches.
Another fun fact, Father J is also a sneakerhead. His ordination to the episcopacy will be on March 1st at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and we say good luck to him. Still to come on Currents News, inspired by one of their own Catholic school students in Far Rockaway raising money for leukemia awareness. And they grow up so fast. Students in Dyker Heights take to their grandparents' closets as they mark their 100th day in school. Showing support for one of their own, the students of St. Rose of Lima Catholic Academy in Far Rockaway are raising awareness for leukemia. Dressing in all orange, the color of leukemia awareness, the students raised over $2,000 for the Leukemia Society, an organization they decided to support because they were inspired by a former student, Rocco Pisani, who bravely fought and survived leukemia throughout the pandemic. Kindergarten went from 5 to 100 real quick. Children in the Diocese of Brooklyn marked their 100th day in class Tuesday by dressing up as grandparents. In Dyker Heights, the students at St. Ephraim Catholic Academy were encouraged to dress up as if they were 100 years old, complete with wigs and all. Some even went out of their way to dye their hair gray. But if you keep looking at it, I'm pretty sure it's just powder. And the fun didn't stop there. For their 101st day of school, the students at Midwood Catholic Academy celebrated Dalmatian style. How cute. Just check out some of these adorable pups in their creative costumes. And while it looks like all fun and games, the 101st day also marks a major milestone, and teachers use the opportunity to celebrate their students' academic achievements. Paying tribute to New York's finest, St. Athanasius Catholic Academy spent Thursday honoring the NYPD. It was an opportunity for the students to get up close and personal with the men and women in blue. They even made signs and posters with prayers for the officers. And to top it off, the celebrations ended with a balloon release honoring all of the officers who have fallen in the line of duty. That's so nice. And finally, the Super Bowl bet between Archbishop Gomez of Los Angeles and Archbishop Schnurr of Cincinnati has turned into a win-win for Catholic education. The archbishops used their friendly wager to raise money for each archdiocese's Catholic schools. The winning team, LA, got 60% of the money, the other 40%. In all, they raised more than $22,000 in tuition assistance, and that is a good deal for them. And that's it for this special edition of Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.